toy fans! Welcome back to 13 Days of Halloween! Yes, that's right, toy fans. We are back with day 11 of 13 Days of Halloween, and we are looking today at the Transmetal Tarantulas figure from the television series Beast Wars Transformers, an animated series that ran on Fox in the 90s. And this particular figure was released by Hasbro in 1997. Now, Transmetals was sort of a subset of Transformers that came out around the show's second season, and they were a line of figures and Transformers on the show that looked more robotic in their beast modes, and once they were in robot mode, they actually featured more bioorganic parts. Definitely a contrast to the Transformers of the show's first season. Also, in toy form, Transmetals were known for having specialized colored vac metal pieces on their bodies, as you see here with the orange on the mandibles for the spider, on his head, and on his abdomen. Transmetals would also have a beast mode, an alternate vehicle mode, and then even a robot fighting mode. Now, Tarantulas is one of my favorite characters from Beast Wars the animated series. If you missed the Project Geek Week where we talked about our favorite episodes of Transformers, definitely check the link below this video. But this was certainly one of my favorite toys from childhood as well, and I'm really excited to be able to take a look at it with you guys here today. In beast mode, you're going to notice that Tarantulas has a great set of 8 legs here that have been sculpted very nicely. They're molded in sort of a purple plastic, and there's a lot of detail on those things. We do have his mandibles, as I mentioned previously, and I think that the toy does a good job of kind of hiding the hollow points of the plastic, making them look like textured detail on the spider's mouth. We have a great set of eyes here that have been painted with green paint. All the sort of mechanical sculpted detail going back. I like that there's sort of an engine almost to the body of the spider, and even sort of a squirt point, I guess you could call it, or a piston in for the silk to come out of the spider. I think that was a nice touch. Definitely keeping with the theme of the robotic appearance on the outside. Now, a lot of the Transformers Beast Wars figures actually had a hidden chip that you could find somewhere on the Transformer that would reveal their allegiance. With Tarantulas here, you're going to bend back his weapon that's in storage mode, and then you'll see here there's this sort of chip that you can touch, and then when you remove your finger, it will show you the Predacon team logo. And of course, if he was a Maximal, which is like the Autobots of that show, you would see the Maximal logo there on the bottom. And that, of course, is just one of those liquid crystal stickers that responds to your body heat. Now, before I show you his first alternate mode, let's go ahead and take a look at some size comparisons and measure this guy out. Here you can see Tarantulas lined up with last year's Generations Waspinator figure and Generations Rhinox. And I do think that Tarantulas and Waspinator are actually in pretty good scale with each other. Rhinox, for some reason, to me just seems a little bit small. It's not terrible, but I do find it just a bit noticeable. But overall, the scale is generally good between these figures. Now, Tarantulas and Waspinator are actually classified as Deluxe figures, and Rhinox is actually classified as a Voyager class. Back in the original Beast War figure days, though, they did call those Mega class figures, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys, but I'm pretty sure that's what they call them. Moving Waspinator and Rhinox out of the way, we can pull in a tape measure here and see that Tarantulas does stand, about 1 3/4 inches tall. It varies, his legs actually get up to 2 inches tall if we look at the joints. Lengthwise, this Transformer's coming in at, about 6.5 inches. Alright, so let's go ahead and transform Tarantulas into his first alternate mode. What you're going to want to do is pick this spider up. He actually has a wheel hidden inside the abdomen of the figure. You're just going to pull that out and then rotate it and then angle it down. There's actually a hinge there to allow you to do that. So this wheel can actually spin pretty freely. And then you'll see that he does have sort of a weapon storage here. You're going to flip that forward and rotate the wheel. And then with these legs, you want to pop them all up. Just make sure they're all kind of bunched together. And if you want to get real technical, they're even kind of slightly angled on the show when he goes into his motorcycle mode, excuse me. And we'll do the same thing here on the other side. Just kind of angle him back just a little bit. And this is basically Tarantulas in his motorcycle mode. So as you can see here, you can kind of roll him back and forth, and the wheels actually do move pretty nicely, which is great. But it's going to be very tricky to balance this guy on his wheels, of course, because we are dealing with a sort of razor blade weapon for the front of the motorcycle. Now let's go ahead and transform him into his robot mode. Tarantulas, terrorize! Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is grab this Transformer's body, rotate this wheel back to kind of its neutral position, and we're actually going to break that apart. There we go. Just give it a little bit of pressure, and then rotate that. This is going to end up being the shoulders of the figure. Then we're going to go ahead and actually pull off that saw blade, because it's going to kind of get in the way. Let's go ahead and fold these legs back a little bit, and the actual headpiece of the Transformer, and we're going to rotate this body down. There we go. And then we're going to bring the arms down. And we actually need to kind of bend his shoulders back a little bit and bring these wheel pieces up that we've separated. So we're going to go ahead and do that. There we go. And bring the arms back into place. They will kind of click into place almost. And we'll want to spin the legs around. There we go. And then the actual front of the mandibles, you're going to bend those down. Those are going to become his feet. And the Transformer's already coming together pretty nicely. Now that headpiece that we bent back actually separates here in the center. You can separate the legs from the actual centerpiece of the head. and it'll fold forward and become the top of the torso. You can kind of pick at the chin here, the head, and get Tarantulas' robot mode head to come up. And then you just want to kind of set the legs. Now, with Tarantulas having ball joints on the spider legs, you can actually kind of rotate these and adjust them into position. You almost want to make sort of a crescent shape, I guess, out of all the legs once they're aligned along his back. It makes for a really cool effect that actually kind of makes the figure look bigger than he's supposed to be. But make sure you get them all twisted correctly into place. Just kind of double check your work, and you'll know the look when it's done. I mean, it looks pretty cool. And then you can actually get the saw blade weapon that we had, stick that in his hand, and Tarantulas is basically ready to go. He is fully transformed. And what a beautiful looking transformer. And I've got to say, all of that paint detail looks absolutely incredible. Taking a closer look at the paint here, you can see tons of different paint colors applied to the face of the figure with orange and purple and navy blue and the green. Even on the torso of the figure here, we have a bit of a paint fade coming out from the green abdomen. So really, a nice attention to detail. Even some paint work here on the shin for the figure. Very, very happy with how it came out. And certainly attention to detail that's hard to come by in Hasbro toys here in 2015. Now, articulation on this figure in robot mode is actually pretty good for the era. His head will look left and right. It is on a ball joint. It's a bit stiff because of the way he has to transform, but it can look. He can also look up due to transformation, and he doesn't really look down at all. His arms are a bit interesting. You can move them forward and you can move them backward, and there's a single hinge at the elbow. There's no sort of wrist rotation or elbow articulation, but because of the transformation, his arm can kind of bend out from the body a little bit. Then his legs actually bend forward very nicely and bend back as far as the abdomen will let them go. There is a ball joint on the hip so you can kind of rotate the leg, and then you can do the same thing at the actual knee because there's a ball joint, and it will bend at a full 90 degrees and bend forward. And then the foot, of course, has articulation due to the transformation mostly. It will bend down that far and bend up all the way. There's no ankle pivot or anything, but with the amount of articulation you have on this guy, you're not going to have any trouble striking some pretty cool poses. Height-wise, if we're measuring to the shoulders, we can see that Tarantulas does stand at right about 5 inches tall. For some size comparison, here he is compared to last year's generation's Rat Trap, and Rat Trap does seem just a bit tall standing next to this Tarantulas. Here he is compared to last year's generation Waspinator, and again Tarantulas is seeming just a tad short. Perhaps we're just dealing with a difference in scale over the years at this point. And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine.
You know, Bob, I had a pretty cool cartoon in the 90s too.
You don't say. Did it have a sweet metal guitar hook to it?
Ha! Funny you should mention that. It sure did.
Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Beast Wars Transmetals Tarantulas figure released by Hasbro in 1997. Overall, if you couldn't tell from all of my gushing, this is one of the best figures I think to come out of the 90s, and certainly one of the best Transformers toys I think we got from that era. There's tons of paint applications. I love that he's got 2 alternate modes. He's got a great range of motion for the era. And he's just a really fun and show-accurate toy. Most of you who are fans of Beast Wars Transformers out there probably already have this figure in your collection. But if not, now's definitely the time to get him back in. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been day 11 of my 13 days of Halloween review series. Be sure to stick around as we finish this event off with zombies here in the next couple days. And let me know in the comments below. Did you watch Beast Wars Transformers? Or do you watch any Transformers cartoon? Who's your favorite character? Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.